Called to order the Clay Township Planning Commission meeting for July 26, 2017. If everybody could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. Actually, tonight, Whitey's not here, so Christine is going to take care of that job.
Edward Keller.
Present.
Whitey Simon absent and excused. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Christine Holcomb here. Leslie Cahill. Here. Mark Borchardt.
Here.
Tom Quazell.
Here.
Robert Usling.
Here.
Keith Bell.
Present.
Kathy Schweikart.
Here. Item number 4 is amendments to agenda. Do we have any amendments? Hearing none, I'll move on to item number 5, which is approval of minutes for June 14, 2017.
I'll move to accept the minutes as presented. I didn't see any mistakes on it.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are approved. Before I go on to item number 6, which is entitled New Business, I just want to take a really quick moment to discuss Planning Commission roles and responsibilities. So it's going to be an abbreviated version. We had this a month ago on a workshop that was presented by our planners, but I'm just going to touch a few highlights. Planning Commission key responsibilities is to create, maintain, update general development plan, which is our master plan, review zoning requests from applicants, to initiate zoning map amendments, initiate zoning text amendments. The Planning Commission cannot do anything about ZBA decisions, nor does the Planning Commission have power when it comes to code enforcement issues, which are issues that should be brought to the building department's attention. People are more than welcome to come and make comments, and we very much encourage that, about any of these issues. But you should know that your comments are not likely to result in any action because the Planning Commission really doesn't have the power to do so. The other thing I'd like to quickly go through is zoning ordinance adoption process. As far as the Planning Commission members in this committee, you start out with basically a discussion and review. Then we can move on to a public hearing, which is actually going to occur tonight on the text amendment. And then this commission makes a recommendation to the Township Board. But before it goes to the Township Board in this county, it's sent to the St. Clair County Planning Commission up in Port Huron, where they have 30 days to then review, make comments, approve, disapprove, whatever they want to do. It then goes back to this township and it ends up going to the Township Board, where they do their discussion and review. They have the option of holding a public hearing or not, and then they either adopt or deny. So that's just a really quick overview because this was really covered at our last meeting with our planners. So I'm going to move on to item number 6, which is new business, and it's entitled Bylaw Amendment, which is actually about the public comment time limit. In our packet, everybody should have the public hearing rules, which we now have in our bylaws. And then we should also have the proposed public hearing / public comment rules. And Cindy left in front of us tonight to make it easier. The difference in language is the highlighted red areas. I assume everybody had some time to review and understand what we're talking about. So, interested in comments? What anybody thinks about this as far as the Planning Commission members are concerned? And Karen, obviously, too. I mean, I look to her for some help at times for this. Hopefully this will make it a little bit clearer for the members of the Planning Commission and also for members of the audience. So everybody has a general understanding of what the rules are for public hearing and or public comment. So anybody have any comments here?
I
Karen?
think it's a little new change.
Yeah, I think that's good.
It's pretty much what they taught us in all the classes.
It seems
Right in
like
line
it.
with it.
Yeah, I mean, I looked to Karen and Rod for input because they have a lot more, contact with other municipalities and obviously probably well trained. So, does Karen, do you have any further comments?
No, I mean, I'd say that place public hearing comments are basically what the general rules are for most Michigan communities. The red language, I think, just clarifies better. So, as now the intention is during public hearings to have these rules printed on the back. And so then I think when audience members read it, they'll understand, okay, when I go up there, I have this amount. If a group of us are a part of an association and we all share the same opinion, someone else can go up and speak on our behalf and be awarded more time because we're speaking for a group as opposed to the individuals. And then the last item, public comments on a specific public hearing request should be made during that public hearing item. At some of the previous meetings, if a public hearing had opened and then closed, and then at the end, we have the general public comment period, and people will come up and make comments on it, and the planning commission has, some members have said, you know, we can't really discuss this, and that's true. Once the public hearing is closed, planning commissioners shouldn't be commenting on public hearing comments after that. And I think sometimes when the public goes up and they try to make comments, or they make comments about something that has happened in a public hearing that is just closed, they can still do that, but they should understand the expectation is that there's not going to be another deliberation of the planning commission on that. They can't comment on it anymore, and I think with this rule, they realize that they can go up and they can speak and say what they would like to say, but they understand that the planning commission can listen. They can no longer debate it or open it up to further discussion because the public hearing has been closed at that point.
That's kind of generally for public comments, anyhow, I mean, it's usually one of the last items on our agenda, and that's what it's meant to be, it's public comments.
And I think sometimes people, when they come up and they make their public comment, they make it and wait for an answer. And unfortunately, you know, public comment period, it's a listening period for the commission. It's not a period of debate or answering questions. The planning commission can choose to, let's say an applicant comes up. We've had some communities during the public comment period where the applicant stays up, and part of the public comment session is members of the audience come up and ask the applicant, you know, what is your plan for this part of the site, blah, blah, blah. And I've seen that work out, and it's, you know, it's up to the planning commission's discretion if they want to have that. Still typically, if people have questions, they address the chair, and the applicant answers the chair. So it's not a going back and forth between the applicant and the audience member. All questions and all comments still be directed to the chair. I know it's a weird middleman triangle way of going about things, but that is how parliamentary procedure is done.
It can be frustrating for everybody in attendance, audience and members. So, well, thank you, Karen. So at this particular point, if the planning...
Question first, just for clarification about purpose. So this is nothing, it's not something new that we're adopting. This is already in place. It's just clarification of what's already established.
Yes. I would say that'd be the easiest way to say it. Yes.
I do have a question on that. So for these public hearing rules, are they just going to be a separate non-official document that is just printed on the back of the agenda? Because when I spoke with my supervisor earlier today, he said that some communities, not all, but sometimes the planning commission bylaws have their rules on public comments in their bylaws. And so I guess our question to you is, do you want to just keep this as the public hearing rules, which are separate from your bylaws, but they're just understood to be incorporated into your procedures? Or do you want it to actually be a part of your bylaws officially?
my gut reaction is probably it should be in the bylaws.
I agree.
Because if that is the case,
Not that I'm the only one to have a vote here,
right, if you were to incorporate it in your bylaws, your planning commission bylaws can be amended at any regular meeting by a majority membership of the commission, provided that the proposed changes have been read at a preceding regular meeting. So I guess if you want to incorporate these into your bylaws, we can basically give you a draft of what that would look like, but it couldn't be, it would have to be voted upon at a meeting after this.
August 9th would be our next meeting.
If the planning commission chooses to do that.
So basically tonight, if we choose to go with the clarification language, I'll call it, and we want to put it in our bylaws, we can agree to put it on the next meeting would be August 9th.
Right.
As old business.
Excuse me.
As old business.
Well, I may put old business, but
Continuing new business.
Yeah.
put a clarification what that business is.
Right.
How about we do that, so we know what we're talking about? And then it would be read at that meeting, and we could approve it.
Right, and we'll have the updated bylaws where that section would go. We think it'd be appropriate to be put in section 3. Section 3 would be split into 2 sections. Section 3 currently has conduct of a regular meeting shall require the following orders of business, and it's basically all the items on your agenda. So that would be part A, and then part B would be public hearing / public rules comments. That way it's officially in your bylaws, and anyone who is curious about how what are the bylaws of the planning commission, this is a public document, they have access to it, and they can see right there that these are the public comment rules.
Makes sense to me.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Sure.
Did you say it needs to be read at the meeting before it's going to be motion to be adopted?
Right, so technically, if you guys were going to do it, this would be that preceding meeting.
The new language should be read into the record tonight.
I'm sorry?
The proposed changes should be read in full tonight, the whole document. Is that correct? Or at a regular meeting,
Right, yeah.
so this classifies as a regular meeting. Because usually our second meeting is the workshop, so that's my,
Yeah, so this would be the regular meeting. Or, well, I guess if we want, we can wait for the first meeting in August to be the regular meeting, and then you can decide if you want to take action on it at the following meeting.
only because of the way we set up for how many
Right,
years.
I understand.
Today would truly be the second meeting of the month, which would be a workshop, so I don't want us to get in a catch-22 where it wasn't, quote, a regular meeting.
Right, so next meeting, we'll present basically the draft bylaw with that section in it. It can be read then. No action will need to be taken on it until the next meeting, if it's going to be.
So that would be August 9th, and we'll do all that, and then we can go from there.
Yes.
I think that's a good idea. I'd like to see it first before.
Sure. How about anybody else?
Sounds good.
Everybody in agreement with that? All right. I would say that's what we're going to do. Karen's office can take care of the language, and on August 9th, we'll take care of it from there, okay? Everybody understand what we're doing? Great. Okay, we are going to move on to item number 7, which is labeled unfinished business, which is actually the public hearing for text amendment for ordinance number 126, section 20.8. I'm going to open the public hearing at about 7:16. This notice was published in the Voice newspaper on Wednesday, June 28th. We have in our packet a draft for the Planning Commission public hearing. And the proposed change occurs on page number 3, item number 22, small letter A. Okay. And actually, Christine, would you like to read our public, what do I do with it? The current public hearing rules? Those are the current ones. So we're all on the same page.
Public hearing rules. All comments must be made through the chairperson. Comments directed to the applicant from the audience are prohibited. Individuals wishing to speak may have specific time limits. Anyone wishing to speak will be given an opportunity. Each individual will be allowed to speak once. It will be the chairperson's decision as to whether additional or rebuttal comments will be allowed. Public comments regarding specific variance requests may be made only during the public hearing of that request. This is got to be for ZBA, it's not planning
Yeah.
commission.
Hold on a second.
I got one.
So much for being a front one there. Here.
Okay.
Reread it. How's that?
Okay, starting over. Public hearing rules. All comments must be made through the chairperson. Comments directed to the applicant from the audience are prohibited. Individuals wishing to speak may have specific time limits. Anyone wishing to speak is asked to sign the sign-in sheet provided. However, anyone wishing to speak will be given an opportunity. Each individual will be allowed to speak once. It will be the chairperson's decision as to whether rebuttal comments will be allowed. Citizens may appoint a spokesperson to represent those who agree on a point of view. Public comments on the public hearing request may be made only during the public hearing.
All right, I would open up for public comment. If you have any comments, please come to the podium, state your name and your address, and we'll go from there.
The public comments about,
Public comments about the text amendment for ordinance number 126, section 20.08.
Kelly Nader, 7203 Audubon. I spoke to you before about, I'm concerned about the precedent we've been setting on how Clay Township seems to break ordinances, and then we have a public hearing to change it to make it legal. We currently, and this has no reflection on the two businesses that are currently breaking this ordinance. We have an ordinance that in Clay Township that says gas stations cannot serve alcohol or sell alcohol. We currently have two businesses that have been breaking that for about, I think, at least 4 years. Lansing is in possession, I don't have it with me, but someone else does. They had said that there's a letter from the supervisor to Lansing for one of the businesses, from the supervisor and from Clay Chief, saying that giving these businesses a liquor license breaks no ordinances, no laws, no rules in Clay. If we continue to keep doing this, we are setting up these poor businesses that are putting out this money. Plus, we are also setting the taxpayers up for lawsuits. I mean, is this how it's going to keep working now when the drug rehab comes? You're just going to change the ordinance because now that guy wants to sue us? You know, if we don't change it, is that how it works around here? It's just, we're setting a really bad precedent. This is the 4th or 5th ordinance that has been changed this way in the last year and a half. And it really needs, you need to change the ordinance and then then be legal. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else like to make a public comment in regards to this particular text amendment? Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, go ahead.
When you say this particular text amendment, are you still referring to the time issue?
Text amendment for ordinance number 126, section 2008.
Okay, is that the one, just to clarify?
No,
about the time
it's
issue?
not.
Okay, all right, then I'll leave, no problem.
And actually, would you state your name for the record, sir? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Sir,
Name's Michael Zor.
did you get there? Okay.
Rich Schaefer, 4757 Point Trumbull. Just a comment quickly that when you make a change in zoning, it's the times. We're no longer a gas station, we're a convenience store. So we're not a gas station, times have changed. There isn't a gas station that serves or, anywhere. So it's, most of them are convenience stores. So we're just changing the times. That's all.
Thank you. And actually, I don't know if I read section 22 and what we're proposing to take out. Did I read it into the record? I don't think I did I, Karen? I'm sorry. How about I back up a little bit? Number 22 says convenience stores and/or fast food restaurants, when established in connection with the principal use on the same zoning lot, shall comply with the following standards, and there's a whole list of them. The one that we're looking to change or delete, basically it, is the sale of alcohol beverages is expressly prohibited. That's what we're referring to right now as a text amendment. Sorry for not clarifying it to begin with. Any further public comments? Please state your name and address.
John Monty, 2420 Point Trumbull Road. I'm in favor of the amendment to eliminate that portion of the text.
Thank you. Any further public comments in regards to this? I'll ask one more time. Any further public comments in regards to this text amendment?
Okay. My name's Estelle Wallerzak. I live at 10371 St. John Drive. It's a small town. There's a lot of talk. You go to Kroger, you run into somebody. I visited the gas station. I visited Mike's store. In talking with people, it was my understanding that the gas station owner went and applied for a liquor license to Lansing first, and they approved it. The township was unaware of this liquor license until it was passed and given to them, and then they went to the township to explain they got a liquor license, they want to sell liquor. They fixed up their liquor cabinets and everything where the old Taco Bell was through the drive-through window. Before the township was even aware that they had a liquor license. Now they have the liquor license and they want you to change the zoning ordinance to accommodate them. When less than half a mile, Mike has a liquor store. It says Danny's Liquor. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Any other further public comments on this topic? One more time. I will close the public hearing at 7:25. Planning Commission members, any comments, discussion, pleasure, what you would like to do?
Make a motion?
Okay.
I can make a motion to approve the text amendment for ordinance 126, section 20.08, item 22, sub A, which calls for the removal of the verbiage, the sale of alcoholic beverages is expressly prohibited.
I'll second.
Any further comment? We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please. Vote.
Keith Bell.
Aye.
Edward Keller. Robert Usling.
Aye.
Christine Holcomb, aye. Leslie Cahill.
Aye.
Mark Borchardt.
Aye.
Tom Kozel.
Aye.
Kathy Schweikart.
Aye. Moving on to item number 8, planning consultants report.
I don't really have anything more to report on at this moment, aside from the bylaws. I'll have a draft for that for you guys next meeting.
Thank you. And nothing further? Okay. Item number 9 is ZBA representatives report.
We had 3 cases, and the one they wanted to replace sunroom, and supposedly on the same footing, but they didn't know what the footing was or what it was built on, whether it was on a slab or whatever, because they didn't look. So we denied that because they wanted to make it a little bit bigger than it already was. And then we had one where they wanted to put a roof over a porch, extending it 2 more feet with poles. That we tried, we said, well, you could put an awning out there. They didn't like that, so that one was denied. And then we had one on the North Channel that the guy wanted to put a small room addition to the water side, but it was in line with all the rest of the properties, and we approved that one.
Thank you for the report. Item number 10 is board representatives report, and it says principles of governance. Mark?
Okay, the board adopted a principle of township governance of excellence, which is a multi-point bullet points of proper procedures, obligations and responsibilities to American citizenships. And I'll just read the note at the bottom, and I apologize that the rest of the board didn't get a copy of this, but we'll have that at the next meeting, and we'll open up for further discussion. But the Michigan Township Association Board of Directors adopted these suggested principles of governance excellence as approaches to township government to which township officials may aspire. Individual township boards are invited to adopt these principles as their own. These principles are not necessarily statutory requirements, but embody standards for representative and responsive township governments. So again, we'll have that again next board meeting.
Thank you, appreciate it. Item number, is that it?
Yeah, well, we did approve on the board the 2 zoning amendments for Fulker and Danny Parks.
Thank you. I was actually going to cover that, so I'm glad you did.
Okay.
Saves me some talking. Okay, item number 11 is chairperson's report. I believe Cindy put in front of us, I hope so, a soil removal permit that may be coming to us. Just thought that maybe it would be helpful to have, and hopefully he'll hold on to that section, because we may have some questions that need to be answered because it hasn't been looked at in a very long time according to our planner. So since we haven't dealt with this, and we may not have to, just depends on which direction the applicant goes or doesn't go. If you could hold on to this information, put it someplace safe, and maybe at your, you have a few moments, give it a look through.
Has there been a reason for that? Of course.
There's been inquiry.
I know, I had to go back through the township board minutes to try to find when was the last one done. It was, I believe it was over 5 years ago. It's been several years.
But I believe there was an applicant who came in and was making some inquiry, which kind of got this.
Right, well, the applicant came in, I guess, based on the nature of what they were applying for. They weren't sure if it would apply to them or not, and we don't know that they actually have to come and apply and provide more information. But once they do, it turns out that they do need the soil removal permit, then we'll be a bit more refreshed on what the procedures are.
I don't think I have anything else as far as chairperson report. There may be some items coming, but we'll deal with them when we have to. So, how about planning commission members' comments? Item number 12.
Madam Chair,
Yep.
I just wanted to mention to the members that our dear friend Whitey's wife passed away. And there will be a memorial service in the future. As soon as we get any information as to when and where, we'll pass it along to all of you.
Thank you. Any other public planning commission member comments? Item number 13 is public comments. Anybody wishing to make a public comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address again, please.
My name is Estelle Wallerzak. I reside at 10371 St. John Drive. To the Planning Commission, I'm here to go over your vision of your master plan to create a local vacation destination full of recreational opportunities while protecting the environment, historical, cultural, and residential neighborhood of the community. You see, the history of St. John Drive is one, we were an island, and now we're a true island thanks to Tom Phillips building his homes and digging out a canal behind us. To the east, we have the expert marine drain. To the south, we have the North Channel. To the west, we have Sassy's Canal, and to the north, we have Tom Phillips Canal, which he dug out all the way so that people would have access to the Caprice. You see, the history of St. John is the respect other neighbors have for each other. The new builds were always kept even for a number one reason, realtors, and that is always the view. The panoramic view to look east and west along the North Channel. We have coffee on our porches and on our decks, and even some from their kitchens. What the Planning Commission Board does not take into consideration the damages caused by the new construction to the adjacent properties. There are ruts in our grass, cement splatters on my siding, my homes, my windows, too, have to be replaced. The trash wind blows all that trash, water bottles, empty coffee cups, cement bags, papers, all into our yard, which my husband picked up. Now the ZBA in January passed an interpretation to an amendment that compromised these views. And I pass that boards to you so you can have a closer look. Now, when they passed this interpretation to the amendment that compromised the views, they combined them together, a 40-foot setback, and they can plant 6-foot arborvitaes up to that 40 feet. But in violation, nothing is supposed to be permanent within that 40 feet setback, yet they were allowed to put in a cement fire pit that cannot be removed. They also have exceeded the 4 foot in the front yard with 6-foot arborvitaes on a 2-foot wall, making them almost 8 feet tall, which I am in my main entrance having to pass all these that are full of birds, mosquitoes, feces, and we all know the West Nile virus starts with a mosquito biting an infected bird and then biting a human being. They're too close for comfort for me. They combined them together, and that was the newest home, to have privacy on the waterfront. No measurements were ever taken on the St. John Drive's North Channel waterfront. If the building department did, they would have proof that the setback does not work on an irregular shoreline. Some properties are longer than others, which gives the rear yard 60 feet past an adjacent property, which is right here, and you can see the seawall. I have pictures to submit. No, we do not want a homeowners association, which is what the building department advised us. Not one other property owner has a rear yard that has any landscaping that blocks the view. They are the only one. The other neighbor to the west of them invested thousands of dollars to redo an old cottage, put in all new windows for the view, only to have that view for a few years before the new home build went up and blocked their patio. They not only blocked the living room window, they went past the house up to the patio that these people have. But I am next to the township's master plan, and the vision does not work for the current owners of the property, their vision. We found our vacation homes. Some of us 97 years ago, 90 years ago, 80 years ago, and 50 years ago. We have lived on the road 21 years, but my dad bought the property in 1937, and I have the original deed. The setback back then was 125 feet. In today's standards, I have 60 arborvitaes along my property line for neighbors. The sidewalk, the lot is 22 inches it was above my lot until they compacted it to put the retaining wall in to house all these Aphrodites. I do not leave my home from 9:30 to 11 for health issues. Contacting West Nile virus is increased by these bushes being along my walkway to the main entrance of my home. The history of 80 years of having a panoramic view now has arborvitaes on both property lines blocking the views of 3 to 5 neighbors. We have lived there longer than the new guys. How can the building department tell the new owners, you flooded them for 2 years, you have to put a drain in? It was to save their retaining wall. They're not doing anything for me. I have lost my flowers, my lighting, my lattice work around my deck, and my deck was built from the wood that the Pope stood on, the Hamtramck. I have 2 brothers that were firemen and got free wood, so we built my mom a deck. Now it's all gouged and damaged. We have repeatedly asked the Planning Commission, the ZBA board, and the township, but nobody would come out to look at the properties to show that it's an irregular shoreline and we don't fit into the 40-foot setback. That's why I brought pictures to show. We have no say, yet our tax dollars are accepted by this township. So I have a diagram that I'm showing you of St. John Drive in comparison to the North Channel. There is one property at 10215 that gets an additional 60 feet beyond the seawalls of the rest of us. It gets a little bit longer near Stephen Nikolewski's at the cul-de-sac, but then it gets shorter because Sassy's Canal there. It starts out shorter at the Expert Marine Drain, and at Sassy's it comes out, it goes in, it goes out, and then it goes really out at the address I specified. At the time that the new home had home occupancy, the rule was 3 feet in the rear yard, 4 feet in the front yard. It was never 4 feet in the front yard, and then in January when the interpretation to landscaping went through the ZBA board, they made it into the ordinance to change it to 6 feet. And for years and years, we had 3 feet. We don't understand the changes. The rest of the residents are upset that these ordinances are being violated, ignored, and just laugh at us because we have a complaint. We have one owner who is putting up a boat roof over a hoist, which is fine, he got a permit. There's another one that didn't get a permit. He was just going to do a roof repair, and now he's tearing the sides down to make it into a boathouse. And at last check, the one neighbor closest to him next door said he's adding electrical now. And the building department just says, don't worry, that's more he'll have to tear down. This is not an efficient township where we can ignore the zoning ordinance violations and just make motions to amendments to change that zoning ordinance to accommodate a new build or people with money. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comments?
John Monty, Project Control Engineering. Just a comment because you were talking about the process that you have for rezoning and other items that you're doing here. I get fortunate enough to go to a bunch of communities submitting drawings and rezoning applications. So the process here in this community, I'm just asking you to take a look at it if you can and consider something. In your process, just took to get the rezoning to happen from February, the end of February, we submitted the drawings and they were just approved the other night by the Township Board. So it was a 5-month procedure. And that's fine, it's all part of the process that you follow. Just something to consider though is when an application comes in, possibly you could just have the building department set the public hearing and start the process. That would cut 2 months off of the process that happens here. And the reason for that is this. What happens is when the drawings come in, if they get sent to all your department heads and get reviewed, and you wait for that procedure to happen, then you wait for another meeting to come, you go to the meeting, you set the public hearing for the next month's meeting, and then the way your timing works at your meetings, you miss going to the Metropolitan Planning Commission meeting because it follows to them. So you happen to miss that month's meeting, so they wait till the next month and review it, and then it gets submitted back to the township. So just saying that some other communities, the building department reviews the application just to make sure it's complete. It has nothing to do with reviewing the site plan or the drawings to see if they're accurate or anything like that. In the case of rezoning, for example, usually it's a pretty simple application along with the zoning map. So all they do is review to see if it's complete. If it's complete, they make the publication and advertisement and set the public hearing for the next meeting.
to cut out a few months of the process. Just a comment.
Thank you for your comments. Any further public comments?
Hi, my name is Michael Zorin, 5865 Green City Highway, that's in Cottrellville, Michigan. I just wanted to talk about the language that you were talking about tonight for the, to make things clearly with people speaking at the podium. I just wanted to mention that I'm glad that it was clarified. I'm sort of speaking to our District 7 Commissioner, Bill Graytop, in case he watches this on video. In 2013, there was a time when I tried pointing out people do have the ability to speak as a group and have a larger amount of time, but Bill Graytop kept telling the Cottrellville supervisor, no, that was not possible. I'm glad that it's pointed out that, I mean, that is the way it is. The Open Meetings Act actually makes that very clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comments? Ask one more time. Any further public comments? Hearing none, we will move on to item number 14, which is adjournment.
Move for adjournment.
Second.
We have support, we have a motion. All in favor? All opposed? Meeting is adjourned.